Episode 137, people, how are we doing? So, it's been a little bit of a while since we last did our episode, and quite a lot has happened since then. So, as always, we'll do a little bit of a catch up. But the topic that we're going to go over today is quite interesting. The last topic that we covered, where we went through a workshop that had some really good feedback, it was quite a hard hitting episode. I'll be honest, there were some harsh truths, and for the untrained eye, for someone who is quite narrow minded, it would almost come across arrogant in many ways. But for the people that did listen to it, and for the people that, the community and the niche that we've created within this podcast, it had the right feedback, and it hit the side of people that I wanted to hit. So that episode was really, really good, and it's nice seeing, even now, still getting feedback and updates from people that listen to that podcast. So the topic that we're going into today is a bit of an extension. So we're going over the 5 types of people that I want you to avoid. And it's important that we cover this because we're always taught to, focus on ourselves and, learn this about yourself, and you need to develop this, read this, listen to this. There's so much stuff, there's so much of an agenda that we need to be doing for ourselves, but we forget that you become your surroundings. You are the average of the people that you hang around with. You are surrounded by people every day. Even for the most loneliest of people, you still have, a family, a job, people at the gym. You're still encountering humans on a day-to-day basis. And if you're spending time with the wrong people, you need to understand that those people are either going to make or break your ability to get the results that you want, to achieve success, to essentially get from point A to point B. Our versions of success, it's all going to differentiate. My idea and, lifestyle that I want to create, that I define as, contentment, fulfillment, happiness, it's going to vary from yours. So we need to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with the right people to make sure that, you can get the results that you want. Because if you surround yourself with the wrong people, they're only going to deter you from your purpose. When you're looking in the mirror, you've got a goal that you want to achieve. Every time you wake up in the morning, you've got that vision in mind. If you're surrounding yourself with losers and people that aren't relative to that goal, you need to make a change. So I guess in regards to catching up wise, the main thing that we've really been focusing on is just expansion and development. Within the Ascension project, as you guys know, it's a lot of my own progress inside of that. So we're not just focusing on, getting bigger delts, going into the gym and being consistent. We're focusing a lot on the mindset side of stuff. And it's why I've sort of been so open with my own thoughts, I'm not going to say emotions, but you'll notice that the content I've been pushing out, I don't really hold back as much anymore. If I've got something to say, I say it. There's a lot of topics that goes against the grain of what a typical online coach would share, and as a result, we really managed to create a good community. We've had some good feedback, and we've started to impact people in the way that I feel passionate about. I have the knowledge and the experience in regards to helping you guys with those struggles. So with the expansion that we've been working on, it's been working on more tools, more resources to make sure that the people that I do work with, they've literally got everything that they need across the board to help with their transformation, both mental and physical. So, example that would be the Power Plan program. Now, whenever you do work with an online coach, I'm sure a lot of you guys have worked with coaches before. Some of you may be coaches. It's often that, we just cover the physical side of stuff, training program, diet program, pretty much average USPs, barely even USPs, just features of the package. It's kind of a given. Now, the Power Plan program that I've been working on actually focuses outside of the training, outside of the gym completely. And the reason why I wanted to develop that tool is because it's where a lot of people still go wrong. Now, you signing up with a coach does not guarantee you any rate of progress whatsoever. You've still got to show up and do the work. And you could have the most amazing training program in the world. It could be made by the world's most best renowned coach. You could be hitting that completely, but there is still a lot of hours left in the day where you are still, left to your own devices, where you've got to make choices consciously on your own. So I wanted to look into the Power Plan program as a way of providing structure that we would see within your training program. So, having a complete breakdown of what the exercise is, what body part it targets, the rep ranges, the setup, the cues, all of that detailed stuff, but applying it outside of your routine. So looking into, what it is that you do for work, when you need to get changed, when you need to set off, how long the commute takes, when you should be getting your first meal in. So the Power Plan program provides you with a routine outside of the gym that literally gives you a day-to-day itinerary of what it is that you need to be doing and what needs to be done that day. And it's not just about, providing more value or, being a better coach. It's about automating the process. You think on average hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands of thoughts. Think even just for example the last hour, what you've thought about. You've been messaging a loved one, you've been messaging a mate, you dropped something in the group chat. constant changes of new topics. You went on TikTok, you scrolled. That's 100, that's tons and tons of different thoughts. But how much of that actually gets actioned? And if you do have that one spark of motivation, think, right, I need to do this. Did you really action it? Or was it just a thought? So with automating the process, what I really wanted to create was reducing the ability to think. Now, that sounds quite dumb-minded, doesn't it? You're probably thinking, well, of course you want to be able to think. But you see, the problem with thinking is that you spend too much time in your head, and you spend too much time thinking and not enough time doing. You're in a position of limbo, should I be doing this, should I be doing that? And you end up getting confused and you end up feeling defeated. We've all done it where we've set out to achieve a goal and, the alarm's gone off and it's been raining and you wake up and there's just too much going on, there's too much choices to make. And in the end, your mind just goes, screw it, we'll go back to bed, and you sleep in. Or, you've got home from work and you're really tired and you know that you should have gone to the gym, you know that you should have read a book, and you know that you should have cooked meals, but you've got too much on and you just think, screw it, I'll just watch another episode on Netflix. And before you know it, you've pied everything off because you've thought too many things. Whereas if you had a routine that, gave you everything that you needed to know, it told you exactly what to be done, what needed to be done, as well as having someone in your pocket 24/7, think how much easier that's going to make your life. So that's really what we've been working on. But we're in for a podcast, guys, come on. I'm not trying to sell you coaching here. You've got my social media for that. The podcast is for value, for chatting, for talking, for getting together and generally just, giving value and going over some seriously important stuff, really. So let's get into the topic. 5 types of people that you need to avoid. Now, the first one I like to call still people. Now, still people are the thing with, and we'll cover this regardless of whatever types of people that we cover. People are infectious, and that's because of our energies. Every time you speak, the way that you hold yourself, that promotes your energy, your aura, it's your radiation, and that passes on to other people, either like, a beautiful passing through, or like an absolute plague that will infect you faster you can complete the sentence. And still people, the danger with them is they actually mean no harm, and that's why they sort of cause so much harm, because they fly under the radar. They act like they're prey when really they're predator. And the thing with still people is they're not going anywhere, and a still by nature is literally just to stand still, to exist. So, we're in this period of time now, we're all obviously young, we're sort of coming up to, some of us maybe in his 30s, majority of us are going to be in his 20s, where we all want to do something, we all want to be something, we all want to set out and just make something of ourselves. If you start surrounding yourself with still people that aren't going anywhere, that are just happy with existing, that are just happy with, doing the same shit day in, day out, how are you going to get to that position of higher ground? How are you going to get to that position of being a better you? It's not going to happen because you're surrounding yourself with still people. And I want to go over little buzzwords, because think if you speak to 100 people, how are you going to know the difference between a still person, a one-dimensional person, and all that type of stuff? It's going to be hard. So when it comes to still people, you've got certain keywords that they're going to use, and one of them would be, another day, another dollar. And if you work in an office, if you're in an environment where you're speaking to people, it could be out in the yard, warehouse, could be anything. You're speaking to people and, they just happen to have seen every single Netflix show. They've seen the latest episode of whatever's trending. Think back to Squid Games. Think back to, Molly May having a baby. And you're probably thinking, Josh, how do you know these things? You have to understand that my life revolves around being on social media. I have to spot trends to understand people. So I have the answers, but not in a negative way. I'm not consuming my own points. But these people that just happen to know everything about the latest trends. And these people just play it safe. They're just playing it still. And they're not going anywhere. So these little buzzwords that they're coming out with, it's just instant identification to know that they are a still person. You know that if in 3 years' time, 5 years' time, you could speak to that person again, they're going to be doing the exact same thing, in the exact same position, saying another day, another dollar. And for the first part, it's okay. It makes sense. They've got into a new role and they're content, but complacency kills, and complacency slaughters people alive. Any dream, any hope, any aspiration, it will vanish with still people, so you really need to stay away from them people. The next person that you need to avoid, and you really need to avoid this, because they will, if you are not confident in yourself, they will definitely take the higher ground, and they will take that, not dominating role, but you'll find that they can speak for you and they can influence your mind. And I'm talking about one-dimensional people. Now, I'm not a mathematician. I'm not mega smart, I'm not a physicist or anything like that, but you think of something as one-dimensional, it only has one face, light can only come off in one direction, it's only going one way, you can only see one side of it. There is no other viewpoint. Whereas if you think of, say, a cube, it could be anything. It could be literally anything with something more than one dimension. It's got different viewpoints. You can see different sides to it. There's shadows, there's depth. There's a field that you can see more things within. And if you're surrounding yourself with one-dimensional people, these are these people that are closed-minded. They refuse to sort of think anything outside of their own ideologies. And a typical one would be, people just watch the news and they just instantly follow that, and they believe everything they say to be true. And you'll find that whenever you give them a counterpoint, or whenever you sort of question whatever they're saying, they instantly get their back up, and they approach things with too much emotion, and they have zero logic at all, because they're one-dimensional. They're not willing to change, they're not willing to be open-minded, to take on that, the open-mindedness and be multi-dimensional. Because when you are multi-dimensional, especially if you want to make something of yourself, you'll find that you can adopt new ways of thinking. You can think, right, I've got to achieve this goal. What I'm doing right now potentially isn't working, but I'm willing to admit that there are new ways of trying things. And just by being multidimensional, even just by taking on a new viewpoint, altering a new perspective, it allows you to uncover a whole new world of progress, quite literally. And I speak about this with such passion because I've literally lived with one-dimensional people, and believe me, it's not that it's toxic, it's just hard work. And I met these people when I wasn't very confident in myself, so I ended up thinking their way of thinking. I didn't really know anything outside of that, and you can imagine what that does to a young boy's confidence. It's not good at all. So being around one-dimensional people is something that you really, really want to avoid. Take that from someone who has been there, got the t-shirt and almost became one. It's not good whatsoever. The next type of people are, I'm going to say a harsh way, and I'm just going to generally say it how it is, but you want to avoid bums and low value men. Now, it's the worst part about this is it's easy to be a bum and it's easy to be a low value man because of the modern day agenda, because of the way that we are constructed and almost pushed to carry ourselves. We're constantly pushed to, watch, all this latest, sitcom, Love Island, all these cheesy shows, and just sit and sponge and become a potato watching anything and literally doing anything that deters us from our goals, and to just literally do nothing in our life. A bum and a low value man is really someone that doesn't contribute anything to themselves, doesn't contribute anything to the people that are around them. They can't provide, they can't really do anything, and they don't have anything going for them. And it sounds in a position, who am I to call someone low value? But low value isn't about money. It's not about having the fanciest house. It's not about being the smartest guy in the room. It's about how well you can understand that you've got a mission to do. You've got a vision that you need to commit to, and you've got goals that you need to tick off and box. You are committed to improving your knowledge, developing your mindset, becoming disciplined, providing for the people that you love and care for. And if you aren't willing to do that, and you're just willing to sort of sit and literally just do nothing and exist, then you are a bum and you are low value. You're constantly simping for people, you chase people, you require validation. These are all traits of low value men. And if you begin to surround yourself with people like this, not only do you become them, you also begin to adopt a lifestyle that is similar to them as well. So you'll find that you are chasing people. You'll find that you are, you can think something, and if that's met with resistance, again, it's a very, very easy topic being Andrew Tate. If you support Andrew Tate and you like some of his videos, but then you mention that and you're instantly met with resistance, and you get all this crazy backlash, but then you change your opinion, you're going to be in a constant state of chasing people's approval and status to just fit in. And the fact with being low value and being a bum is that you require other people to validate you. Your self-worth, your entitlement, how you sort of, commoditize yourself as an individual, whether you're happy, sad, hurt, content, excited, all of that resides in the power of other people. And if I can tell you anything about people, it's that one day they're going to love you, one day they're going to hate you, but you just need to know that one day £50 is still £50. So it's the idea that you don't want to be chasing people. Never ever chase people, money. You always want to be in a position of attracting them. Have what they want. When you can learn to have what people want and have what, say, money or success wants, that's when it will find its way to you, and that's when things can really, really get interesting. Because if you're just chasing, and if you're just, needing validation and just craving just to fit in, just to sort of be in that group of people, sit on that table with people, your quality of life is really, really going to diminish, and you can quite literally say goodbye to any goals that you thought you even had in the pipeline. And the final type of people that I want to sort of push you to avoid is slave-minded people and command CMV people. Now, I'll let you in on a little secret. I've started writing a little bit of a book. Now, I'm not trying to be an author. I'm not trying to be an Amazon #1 bestseller. But for me, doing this podcast, it really allows me to sort of just open up my mind, speak what's on my mind and just sort of let you guys in, if that makes sense. And I feel that by writing a book, I've always been good at my words. I'm very literate. I'm reading books on a daily basis. I'm listening to audibles. It's just a good step for me to allow people to understand me a little bit more. And one of the sort of topics that I came up with was command CMV people. Now, you think of the modern day world, there's 8 billion people on this planet, tons of different people. And as a guy, with the agenda being so strongly pushed right now, masculinity being under attack, a command CMV person, you think of a computer. If you hit command C, I'm an Apple user, by the way, so think copy and paste. So a command CMV person is literally just, you've got one person, your average guy, he lives in a house, he has a 9 to 5, wears, streetwear, cargo pants, night techs, whatever is in fashion. He watches what's in fashion, he follows what's in fashion, and whatever the latest trend is, that guy is that. And with that, he just wants to fit in. But then you've got another person who's just a copy and paste of that guy. And then you've got another copy and paste of that guy, because those 3 guys are in a group chat together. They go to the gym together and they follow the latest YouTube videos. And they all wear the same cargo pants and they all follow the same pants. And it just goes from there. It's just a cycle of just copy and paste people, command CMV. And these people are generally slave-minded. They can turn on the TV, they'll listen to the man in the suit, and they'll get whatever job, and they'll follow whatever agenda, and whatever's being pushed, they'll just believe it, they'll just take it at face value. Now, I'm not looking to take this into a conspiracy-based podcast, but these people that just take whatever's given to them on the plate, and are almost grateful for it, they almost bend over and just take it. The issue with these people is that they travel in crowds, and the more people that come together, unity is very, very powerful, both negatively and positively. If you've got people that are full of hatred and you get 100 of them, that feeling of hatred is going to be a lot more powerful, and it will have the power to overcome you. So the problem with slave-minded people and people that just copy and paste the same duplicates, there's no originality. There's no vision, there's no, desire for change and success. They just want the same thing, they just want to fit in, and they just believe whatever gets, thrown at them. These people are going to commute, they're going to, gather in crowds. And if you begin to surround yourself with these people, you'll find yourself in a sea of just nothingness, and you'll find yourself just having no freedom to think. You'll be afraid of what to do. You'll be afraid of, what to think and how to be right. And you'll have no ego, you'll have no emotions, you'll have no drive, just because you end up becoming a slave-minded person. You end up just thinking, right, that's in fashion, I'm going to do that. That's, trending, so I'm going to do that video. And it's just going to affect your quality of life. And if you have a bad quality of life, think about that, so how that's going to affect your goals. So we're going to sort of wrap the podcast up there. I don't really like to, we did a little bit of a catch-up at the start. We went over the 5 truths. I don't really like to do a massive outro as to, what's next or, what we're doing, because it ends up getting a bit rambly. We're on 18, 19 minutes now, and I think, one, that's enough of a Yorkshireman just rambling on and speaking the way that I do, but also I also want to make sure that it's punchy, it's take-home, and I would much rather you have a shorter episode, but you actually have something to deploy and take away and apply to your day-to-day routine, as opposed to we do an hour and we literally just ramble. And sure, I get you when you commute to work, but you don't really have anything to benefit from. So that's really the direction that we try to take in the podcast. So I will see you guys for the next episode, where we may or may not have a guest.